Their failure of a season, yeah. So, now we're gonna get into the Washington Redskins.
It hurts me to talk about them, but I guess we have to, right?
Yeah.
So, 32-21, lost to New York Giants Thursday night. It was really just a pitiful effort.
Yeah.
It was just a sloppy game. Fumbles, and Matt Jones fumbled at the 1 yard line for a touchback. That one hurt us. We had a chance to come back.
They really. One thing about the Washington Redskins, they cannot play well under the bright lights.
Yeah.
When it's Thursday night, Monday
Kirk
night,
Cousins,
Sunday night football, that's not their game.
Choke.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, he's been, let's just say, less than impressive so far this season. He's really disappointed. I had high hopes for him. He's really been disappointing me so far. The line has been doing what they can do.
Yeah.
The line has definitely been doing what they can do.
Yeah, the offensive line, the best I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. They've been doing what they can do.
They really got that set.
But his decision making is just...
Yeah, there'll be times like...
It's
when When I was watching the game, there'll be times I'll hold my breath. Because I'm trying to... Like, when he throws that football, is he going to throw an interception? Mm-hmm. Every time he threw the football during that whole game, he was like he's going to throw an interception. He didn't feel confident.
Right.
He didn't feel confident at all in the pocket. And that got me so nervous. And it not only gets me nervous, it got me nervous in the game. It got me nervous for the whole
what I think?
Season.
Every time those bright lights come on, Kirk Cousins just changes into a different person, different quarterback. Yeah. Preseason, he's fine. Offense flowing.
Yeah, but
game
preseason,
exactly.
Well, you gotta look at preseason. He wasn't going against first team.
Yeah,
he was going against second team.
That's it.
One thing about RG3, he was going against first team.
But even when they did slide him in,
when they did
go against first team, he was doing all right. He was doing his thing. But it's like whenever those bright lights come on, Kirk Cousins just changes into who knows,
Yeah,
and it's mind-boggling because everyone sees the potential that he has. Everyone sees what he can do. But it's just he just changes into a different quarterback. When those bright lights come on, Kirk Cousins is just a totally different player. And Matt Jones, I know everyone's high on him. I'm high on him especially, but I just think Alfred Morris is getting thrown to the curb a little bit. I think it's pretty disrespectful. Because what did this man do to lose his job,
Yeah, he's been probably one of the best players offensively, consistent on a consistent basis we had. And that's one thing, that's a problem with the Redskins I've seen.
One of the problems.
One of the problems. They live up, once a player has one good game, they push the other one to the curve.
Right.
Once Kirk Cousins had one good game, RG3 was riding the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
Once Matt Jones went off against St. Louis Rams, they said, well, Alfred Morris, time for you to take it. It's just one game.
Yep.
The
business is just so...
Yeah, the business is more...
It's just so messed up because they don't care about you unless you're doing something for them, One
thing I would say, it's like they're not playing for good talent. They're playing for the people.
Right.
So if people like Matt Jones is going to get a lot more attention.
Right.
If people like Kirk Cousins is going to get a lot of attention. It's like Dan Snyder. They're only playing in the coaches. They play off of one game. They don't play off of everything.
There's no loyalty.
Yeah, there's no loyalty at all.
There's no loyalty, and that's a problem. If you're going to be a championship team, everyone has to have confidence in themselves, and everyone has to have confidence in what the team is trying to do. And if you're going to get pulled for no reason all the time, then how can you be confident in what you're going to do?
Yeah.
How can you be ready to play when you're always looking over your shoulder because the next guy is waiting? I mean, that's the league, but it's a business. But you gotta stick to your guns sometimes. You gotta have faith in your players. It's just like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown used to play for the Redskins. He was a pretty good kick returner, but he had a fumbling problem,
Mm-hmm.
But so he fumbles a couple times. They just cut him,
Yeah.
They They don't help you. They don't develop you and help you get better.
And that's one thing you guys say. I think we talked about this last week. The Washington Redskins, they're not a good team for rookies.
Right.
Especially guys that are like wide receivers, guys that are quarterbacks, and guys that are like running back. No, I think maybe not. I don't want to say the running back position. I would say more of the quarterback. But overall, this is not a team that's good for developing players. They always talk about rebuilding. We got to rebuild.
Right.
We got to rebuild. But one key part to rebuilding
is developing
the guys you draft.
Look at the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, exactly.
Develop.
And another team to look at is the Oklahoma City Thunders in basketball. That team really, KD wasn't traded there. Russell Westbrook wasn't traded there. Right. Most of those guys weren't traded to that team. They had a lot of losing seasons.
San Antonio Spurs.
Exactly. The San Antonio
Spurs.
And
they've been at it for a while now.
Yeah. They used the draft. They used free agency.
Right.
They might make trades here and there, but draft and free agency is what made. That's where the highlights on how they got their players. Redskins, they get good talent, but they don't develop them to that potential to get to that next level.
Right.
There's a lot of talent the Washington Redskins had wasted because they didn't want to take the time to develop. They think, I draft a player, he needs to
produce for me right now.
He needs to get to the Super Bowl right now. You can't do that. You really cannot. You can't do that.
And there's a big adjustment between college and the NFL.
And so much
pressure. In college, you're playing against 2, maybe 3 NFL players per team.
Yeah, and look at this. If you look at the RG3 situation, RG3 won 7 straight games in a row. Took him to the playoffs. As soon as he got to the playoffs, the key was he has to take us to the playoffs with a bad leg right now. He got to take us to the Super Bowl right now. I'm like, he's just a rookie. All right, he had one great year, but if in order for that to continue, you still got to work with him and develop him, work on his weaknesses, teach him how to slide. And I think that same thing might happen to Kirk Cousins.
If it's not already happening.
Or it's like you said, it's not already happening. That's why I fear that if the Redskins, I'll look at that mock draft.
Kirk Cousins is what, 26?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he's still young, still has some room to grow, but it's just...
But one thing I said, the Redskins, if they want to win now, one, it's not going to happen. 2, at that quarterback position, this team should never draft a quarterback. This is not the Washington Redskins is not a organization where they should draft quarterbacks because they really don't know how to develop them well.
Right.
It's like they have to go through free agency. They might have to trade someone. The last time they traded for a quarterback, that didn't work out well, which was Donovan McNabb.
Right.
So,
shoot, the last really productive quarterback we had was Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
And he was decent, but he wasn't.
Decent. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't.
But it was
Drew
definitely
Brees,
Mark Brunell.
Your Tom Brady type quarterback.
Right.
And think about and for a quarterback having a productive season, you gotta go back to RG3.
Right.
In 2012.
It's really starting to get frustrating as a Redskin fan, and I know all the fans back home are probably fed up.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm fed up, and it's really starting to get irritating, you know.
They are. It's getting to the point where I would rather see this team rebuild and show signs of improvement, and just instead of just letting talent go to waste.
Yeah. Do you think Jay Gruden is the right man for the job?
Honestly, I don't have good feelings with Jay Gruden. I really don't. And one thing comes, it's like he doesn't. He does sometimes he doesn't build around the talent he has. He just want to take certain players on a team and build and say this is how we're gonna run the offense.
I mean, granted, I don't think he's a bad coach.
I don't think he's a bad coach,
but I don't think he's a head coach.
No, he's not a head coach. He's more of an offensive.
Yeah, exactly.
He can't run this team. He doesn't have a lot of control. There's ever since he
doesn't have that voice. You know?
He doesn't have a voice. Not at all.
And if your players don't respect you, then I'm not saying they don't respect them. I'm pretty sure that they have a certain level of respect for their coach.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that voice to make your guys want to run through a brick wall for you, you know, then I don't think you're gonna make it too far.
Yeah, I can see that. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will. When we come back, we will talk more. We're going to get into a topic we want to get in, that's very interesting to us, which is our hoop mixtapes. Do they give a false impression on who the player really is?
Yeah.
And before we go to the break, give me your Eli. Just give me a short take on what you think on this topic.
I think it depends on the person. Sometimes some hoop mixtapes can definitely be misleading, but it definitely depends on who the athlete is and whether or not they're ranked. Because a lot of ranked players, they're ranked for a reason, you know. But a lot of players that just come out with the mixtape and edit and make it look good. Their crossover that they had once in a blue moon and 2.5 minutes long of just, a couple dribble moves that anybody can do, but they don't finish. Cutting out the finish and cutting out the part when they turned it over, and
Yep.
So
yeah,
we'll get more into it when we.
Yeah, we're gonna get into more into it when we get to the into our commercial break. This is Inside the Locker Room, bringing the DMV to the NYC, and we'll be right back.
Now, back to where the action is. WICR.